Wat gemute.
Okay. Maar daar's nog een, die action cam van ons nog.
Yep. Guys, unmute. Ons probeer. Kan julle ons hoor daar's op die action cam? Wag.
Nou, hulle hoort ons nou te kan hoor as alles unmute is.
Kan julle ons hoor daar's op die action cam?
Nou weet ons of julle ons kan hoor, dan doen ons dit so.
Ek weet nou nie wat hier gebeur het.
Hulle sal ons vinnig laat sê hoor. Now we can hear. Okay. But Cindy, you know what? Then we don't even need the mics. We're gonna put the mics down.
Yeah.
Here we go. Nou, dis beter. Nou kan ons alles mooi hoor en ek weet die kameras is so. So, hallo, welkom by SA Bros. Dis is Swipey. Ons is vanaand, ons word getreed. Ons is al twee brou manne en ons het die amazing oom Peter Cloete. Hy gaan vir ons wys om messe en goed te maak en allerlei stuff vanaand te doen. Alles oor hoe om na jou messe te kyk. Alles waar forging gaan. Oom Piet doen nou, how long have you been doing this, Oom Piet?
About 10 years.
10 years. So we've got the knowledge of a man that's been doing this for 10 years, and he's going to tell us how to do this and what's the right stuff, how to look after your blades, how to make blades, what having a blade is about. I think, Pete, you might agree with me, there's a lot of youngsters now that don't know the value of having a blade with them at all times.
No, they don't. You know, the old people, like myself, always carried a knife in their pocket.
Yeah.
And that was mainly to cut biltong. But no, jokes aside, my father always carried a knife. I've always carried a knife. Yeah. And when you carry a knife, you've got to make sure that it's sharp. You've got to make sure that it's able to do the work that it needs to do. And that is what the big secret about knife. Owning a knife and knife making is the use that the knife is going to be put to. Yeah. Because if you can make a knife that is totally the wrong knife for the job that it has to do, then you have a failure, or it's too blunt, or it can't be sharpened. But yeah, making knives is a very rewarding hobby. I've been doing it, as I said, for about 10 years, and I've made hundreds of knives. But the joy that knife making brings is.
And obviously, like now, you know, like you said, the old guys know the value of a knife. I know knives that have been passed down through generations that have been there for everybody. Yeah. And obviously, in the older days, your knife was a big thing for you. It was something that symbolized a lot for you as well. What do you think has gone missing? Why don't you that into knives anymore? Do you think there's a reason for that?
Well, yeah, a lot of countries it's actually illegal to carry a knife. But in South Africa, we don't have that law where the carrying of knives are forbidden.
Yeah.
But I think this is a throwaway society that we live in, and nobody appreciates a well-made knife. Yeah. Now, handcrafting a knife is very different to going to your local store and buying a knife, because you know you can go and buy a factory-made knife for 350 rand, which will do whatever it needs to that you want it to do. But a handcrafted knife is going to be 3, 4, 5 times the price. Yeah. Purely because of the number of hours it takes. Now, I'm a hobbyist, so I don't do this full time. But a good knife would take me about 10 hours to make. Now, if you relate that to industry, I can't charge what an electrician would charge for 10 hours of work per knife, because nobody would buy it. But a handcrafted knife will always give you supreme pleasure, and you'll be able to keep it. In fact, it's an heirloom. Yeah. Because knives have been around for 100 years, they're going to be around for hundreds more. Yeah. But making a knife is really satisfying in that when you're finished, it's like an artwork. Yeah. It is something that you've made and you can pass on.
It's personal.
It's personal. Yeah. You can customize a knife. A handcrafted knife is never the same as the next one. Yeah. But in saying that, it still has to meet the basic criteria. It's got to be sharp. It's got to be able to do the work that needs to do.
Now, when we're sitting here in the garage, and I noticed you've got a lot of tooling, and obviously it's all this is your forge room. This is where you make your knives. Yeah. So all of this is mainly just for the making of knives. So to all the other youth guys out there, maybe you guys can learn something. Yeah. And show us around. Show us what tools you've got and what do you use them for.
The shape of the knife, you can get it on camera there, cut the shape of the knife. Once you got that done, you'll then move.
Dit was sukkel vanaand. So let's stick to this one for now. Nee, wag, ek gaan vir jou die een gee.
Right.
We'll move to the grinder, which is this machine over here. You see us running.
Are we on this cam now?
No, hang on. Just give me a second. I'm sorry. Alles vrek vanaand. As I
Yeah. Looking for Sasquatches everywhere. I found one long ago. Lots.
There we go. Let's just get the camera right. Apologies. Hoekom faal alles sodra die show begin? Alles het mooi gewerk.
Murphy.
Ja, Murphy is 'n ander
Murphy's
kanaal.
on strong.
Solo layout.
Yeah.
There you go.
Right, that's it. So now can ons actually lekker praat so how you do it, what you do, like the rules about it. It's not so long.
So what you would do is you take your blank, and you have to grind your bevels into this blank. So two things you're going to do is you're going to grind a distal taper.
Yeah.
So the knife will be widest here and narrow there, and narrow at the back.
Okay.
And that is essentially to take away a lot of the meat on the knife and make it a bit lighter.
Yeah.
You're also going to put holes in your knife, and there you need a drill press.
Okay.
Which is just behind the camera
One
there.
of these.
Yeah.
I can actually show the guys here. This is the one they'll use to obviously drill all the different holes and shed a lot of weight from the blades.
Yeah, take it out.
Like you say, the meat.
You make it, and then you would grind your knife to your required size. So once you've done that, this knife is then ready for hardening.
Yeah.
Now this is stainless steel. Now stainless steel is very difficult to heat at home unless you have a kiln.
Yeah.
But I send this off to Bolo Steel in Barbara Road, Isanda,
Okay.
and they harden it for me to a Rockwell 58.
Okay.
It's pretty hard. I get it back, and then I do go through the procedure again. So your stages of making a knife would be from this.
Yeah.
This is another knife I have here, and you can see I've then taken this knife and I've hand polished it down to
a beautiful shine.
1000 grit.
Yeah.
Okay, so that knife is then ready to be polished. But before that happens, we've got to put the handle on.
Okay.
Now the handle, you have synthetic material, which is your G10s, which is material like this, and here's a knife with the handle put on.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's your G10.
So what is G10 for people who aren't know?
G10 is a resin impregnated material which is compressed.
Yeah, so a polymer.
Yeah, it's compressed, nice and hard. This is also very durable and long-lasting material.
Yeah.
And you can see it looks very rough. You can see all the glue sticking out. This is going to be ground down to this sort of stage.
Yes.
You see this knife here, which is now the same as this, but now completed.
Okay.
I have inserted a pin, a mosaic pin.
Yeah.
These pins are 3D printed in Russia, a place called Tomsk, which is in the middle of nowhere in Siberia.
Yeah.
And that is a little brass pin there. I'm going to come down here.
Yeah.
Little brass pin there. The next thing too is I put my maker's mark onto the knife.
That's the pride and joy right there.
Yeah.
Yes.
And once that mark is on there, this knife is guaranteed for life.
For life.
For life, you bring it back to me for breaks. I fix it for you, or I replace it.
Now, when you say if it breaks, has anybody ever broken one of your knives?
But there's always
Yes. And I probably just jinxed it. Yeah. But that's good quality right there. You say it's never been brought back, that anybody has ever brought back.
Yeah.
Look, you showed us a knife of where somebody didn't look after the handle, and it lost color.
It faded a bit, yeah, and that's a beautiful wood handle. Yeah,
And that must kill your soul when somebody tells you just lies
you've
around.
been putting so much love into that, and then obviously it's Guy probably forgot.
Yeah, look at the
about
colouring
or
there.
whatever.
Now, that piece is really supposed to be like that.
Okay.
But you can see the guy, he's left it outside. It's good like he's left it on his bra, in fact, I think.
Yeah.
But,
En dis wanneer die toon het krul.
but if you look at the blade, and this is not a stainless steel knife, this is a high carbon knife. That patina you see there is as a result of me dipping this in ferric chloride, which is a etching material, which is also a protected coating.
Oh, wow.
Now, that's really quickly stock removal, piece of steel, cut out the shape of your knife, grind your bevels, drill the holes, put the handle on, harden it, and then put the handle on.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the fun part is forging, which is blade smithing.
Yes.
Now,
That's the fun part.
that is
Can't wait.
that is the fun part. That is
Can't wait for that.
so right.
Guys, we've got a very special cameraman here tonight.
Yeah.
You guys might know him from previous shots. He's that's our
Dis oom Peter se pa.
yes.
How's this, guys?
How's it? So he's our personal protection wherever we go when we need to go out. He's representing the boys always.
There
So
we go.
thanks, Ajay. Oh, don't take a commiss.
Yeah, he's part of the crew. He's a roadie. He's a cameraman. Happy pops.
Pops. Nou weet nie of ons hulle al te wil so kyk.
Dis al die groot
Jy het die belly. What the hell is it altyd so?
Jy het jou pap gevreet.
Ja.
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, boetjies.
Shut, man.
So let's go on.
Okay,
The forge.
the process of forging a knife is one is you're going to take a piece of high carbon steel.
Okay.
This is 5160.
Where do you get 51?
Usually buy this from a steel merchant. I buy this from Bowler Steel out, as I said, out in Sando. And you'll cut out a piece that's big enough for you to for your knife that you have planned, and you will forge it. Now we won't forge this now, but I will show you how that.
Beautiful.
Now you'll take that, you'll forge it into your shape that you want, and then after that's forged, you've got to normalize it. So you'll go through a cycle of heat and cool and heat and cool to normalize the grain size. Because what happens is when you forge with all the beating, a lot of stress builds up in the.
And that's what
Yeah.
molecular structure of
Yeah.
the steel.
And I'm sure you've all watched Forge and Fire, and you see the guys get blades that warp and crack, etc., etc. And that is mainly because they haven't been through what they call thermocycling.
Yeah.
That you heat up the blade to non-magnetic, and you cool it down to black, back up to non-magnetic as you go to 3 times, and only after that do you quench.
Okay.
And in Forge and Fire, you see the guys quenching, there's a big fireball, and sometimes the blades come out and they all skew. And it's the preparation of the blade before the quench that keeps it nice and straight. Now here we have a forge. And this forge,
There we go. Let's check.
This is now the high heat. This is where the magic happens.
What's the temperature at this ridge?
this forge is a 2-burner forge, goes up to about 1,200 degrees C.
Ja, that's Celsius, guys, not the American Fahrenheit.
Ja.
So nog die kamera aandry.
Woef, Chico brand te
Ja, check.
Ja,
Ons
Rembrandt.
bly nou stil en luister. So dis is 'n afterburner op 'n 15 Eagle.
Se bly, maar nou kan ek poep. Julle kan so
Watch him fall back on your nose. Check that.
Okay, so
Afterburner oor.
what type of gas do you use?
Yes, no, I should guess the same gas you use.
Okay.
I've got a piece of round bar I had just to experiment. Whitey's already had a go at this, and you can see it's not really flat or very straight. But we'll let that heat up, and we'll give you just a quick demo on the actual forging side. From all that heat. The other thing that you need in the forge side is a good anvil and a good hammer. 1 kilogram hammer. This is made by Draco Forge in Victoria. They make some good stuff. Once this is heated up,
Yeah.
we'll quickly hammer it a few times.
Yeah, we're gonna have to speak up now, the guys. This forge is killing the sound a bit.
I think dog it's fine.
Okay.
I see your magnet is here.
Yeah.
I didn't notice it was like you now, so obviously you showed us out the magnet. This magnet is
Still clean. The interesting thing about metal in a forge is that as you heat it, the metal at a certain stage will lose its magnetism. If you look at this here, the magnet will stick to the rod. As it heats up, it's still sticky there. So we'll heat it up a bit more. The forge is lower. Yeah. The forge is lower. Yeah.
Well, dis so right, ons kan actually
I see your microphone go on. I did it right off. Longest my microphone. Right, sorry, I was back on.
Almal vas hou. Check 1 2. Ja, kan julle ons hoor? Here we go. Ja, as julle ons kan hoor, sê vir ons ou. Ja. Cool. Thanks. Away maar se kan sê vir ons of julle ons nou kan hoor, want dit sal cool wees as julle ons nou kan hoor. As hy. Wat sê julle? Seker lekker warm. Dit is warm hier binne, Shoni. En kan jy ons hoor? Dan weet ons of alles werk. So daar's hy. Right, dude, ek dink dit werk. Lekker. Well, now you can actually speak to me if you can hold this. I'll hold it for you.
Okay. As we said before, I don't know if you heard us, but this kiln goes up to 1,300 degrees C. So what we're doing now is taking a piece of mild steel. This is not a knife steel at all. This is just to show you how it works. But if you look at this magnet, it sticks to this rod. There it's lost its magnetism. So here it works. There it falls right off. So the hotter it gets, it reaches a critical stage where there's the minimum temperature where the steel loses its magnetism. Once it's lost it, you can start forging. Hitting it too early will create stress cracks, and you don't want it to burn. So you've just got to gauge it. And this kiln is not hot. Normally there's a yellow heat inside there. This one is not hot enough yet, but we'll show you what happens now. Okay, I'm going to take this.
Right, so now we're going to check. The first thing, let's stand back. And he's really beating that, guys. He's not taking it easy. I tried it a bit earlier. I barely put a dent in that thing. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right, back in the forge.
Boys, dis my beurt. Ek like van blik.
Boys, dis my beurt. Ek like van bliksem.
Hulle gaan nou sê. Dis hy koud genoeg. Of gaan ek dit
Dis
af?
hy koud genoeg hoor. Of gaan ek 'n klap moet dra?
Right. Ja, kom ons kyk of hy warm genoeg is. Tja.
Kom die cameraman.
Ja, it's trigger finger story again. You know what? Want sodra hy gryp, brand jou triggervinger af. Jy wil nie dit hê nie.
Right, boys.
Right, boys.
Right, hierso gaan ons ou grootte gaan hom nou vat.
Hy's soos 'n forger. Ag.
Ek
Hy's soos 'n forger.
Ja nee, 120% wat.
Ek moet daai een dra want ek is blind.
Ek wou net
Net
voel
cool
ek.
lyk vir 'n oomblik.
Nee. Here we go. Right. So on this. Back straight, flat, and smash.
Back straight and flash. En ek dink Whitey het baie met staal gewerk in sy vorige lewe. Toe hy nie hippos gestooi het nie, was hy 'n forge. Het hy hierdie gedoen. There's no sound. Is it? Okay, sorry. Ek sal dit slaan jy daar, hy gaan nou aangaan, ek gaan dit gou uitsort. Ja.
Sorry, sorry. Chris, waar gaan?
Okay, cool. Right, daar's die ekko weg. Dankie dat julle ons laat weet het.
Right, boys and girls. Dit is nou Chris se beurt om 'n forger te wees.
Vir my om te forge hierso.
Ja, wag, ons gaan sy naam nou gat maak. Kyk.
Sit die oom vir my 'n blok neer want ek is korter as hierdie jetties.
Want hy is 'n stuk kort ons maatjie, hy kan nie fucking sorry vir die flikkery maar, dis al ek kan explain. Chris, klim op, wag, jy moet eers jou ding kry. En Chris, en dan moet jy 'n foto neem van ons al drie langs Chris, né? Here we go. Moer hom Chris. As hy slat hom. Maak dood. Waar is jou sigarette? Hoekom het hulle jou sigarette weggevat? As hy slaan. Maak dood. Op sy side. Op sy side so. Kyk vir Chris. Maar voel dit om lank te wees, minder as 5 voet.
Now what we would normally do is, if that was high carbon steel, and we have the shape of our knife sorted out, we would then go through the thermal cycling process. We will heat and cool, and then we will put it into a bucket of oil, quenching oil. And that quenching oil then hardens the blade. After that's done, you'll follow the same process as the stock removal. You'll take it to the grinder, you'll grind your bevels, you do your tapers, your distal tapers, you drill your holes in your handle, and then you will temper the blade. To do that, you're going to put it in the oven at 180 degrees C for an hour, and you do that 3 times. By the time you've been through that process, that knife is now ready for finishing. You'll sharpen it, you'll polish it, you'll put your handle on, and then you'll polish it, and then you'll the last thing you do is sharpen it and make the sheath.
Can we put this off, work? Lekker. Right, well, now I'm sure everybody will be able to hear us lekker. And there's some questions I actually have about with the tempering, what it's about. So obviously, after you've quenched, the blade will still go through a tempering process. Obviously, it takes a bit more time to get all that tempering done. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, as I said, that's the process that you put into the oven. Yeah. So in just your normal kitchen oven, you'll put it in for an hour at 180 degrees. You'll take it out, let it cool down, and you'll do that 3 times. Now that blade is ready for finishing. There are two ways of hardening it. You harden the blade by differentially hardening, where you put the cutting edge of the blade into the oil and take it out and then dip it into the oil again. So your quenching takes place on the blade for a longer period, and when the blade is hotter, which means it'll be a lot harder.
And why do they do that?
To keep the spine more flexible.
Okay.
So for a heavy camping knife, for instance, that you're going to be chopping wood, or you'll need to have a flexible spine, but a very hard edge.
Yeah.
And the sharpening too, you need to look at your edge geometry. You need to make sure that your edge is designed for the job that knife is going to do. If you're doing for an axe, for instance, and we were sharpening your axe earlier on, the axe must have an apple seed edge, which means it's a concave edge, which then pushes, as you chop, it pushes the wood or the substance.
So let's say this is the cutting edge. Obviously, this is what you want on a knife. Is this what you want? And then on a bale or axe, you want it a bit wider, so it literally opens it up for you.
Okay. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah. Now, and then too, the bigger the knife, obviously the harder that knife has got to work in terms of stress, because you're going to be using it for chopping it. You're going to be using it for cutting bones, like a hunting knife. Yeah. But a hunting knife also needs a nice thin edge so that you can skin with it. Yeah. So it's got to have both blades. So on the edge of the blade near the tip, you must probably have a lot finer edge, and towards the back a lot thicker edge. So you won't be hitting a hard substance with the fine edge.
Obviously, that's why you see with hunting knives, even though they're quite short knives, that they taper a lot more smoother. That it tapers, like you say, from the tip, because we know with hunting that you only use the tip of the knife, literally with your finger and stuff with it, to literally get the skin off. And with the bones, like you say, the back's the one that takes, you can actually hit it with something to get through the bone.
Look, I've got some samples here I can show you.
Yeah. you can tell us all about
Yeah.
this.
This is a meat cleaver,
Yeah.
and if you can look at that blade, and I don't know if you can get that close.
Yeah.
That edge there has got a concave edge.
Yeah.
Now this is because when you cut with a cleaver, it's got to be able to hack through meat.
Yeah.
But at the same time, let me just get a piece of paper here. That's it.
Lekker dude, jy top hom ook gevaarlike lemme, bro.
Check nou hierso.
But at the same time, a meat cleaver needs to be sharp.
Ah.
Now, that is a sign of a good knife. That
Yeah.
it's got an edge designed for heavy work,
Yeah.
but it's still sharp enough to cut a piece of paper.
Now, sorry, if you pick that blade up, I see there's a notch there. What's that notch for? If you can check here, Andre, there's a little notch there. What is that notch for, Oom?
There's a lot of mysticism about that little notch.
Okay.
A lot of people call it a blood notch.
Yeah.
So blood doesn't run onto your hand, and the truth is that's nonsense. That's just a design feature.
Okay.
It doesn't do anything. You'll see on cookeries, for instance,
Yeah.
there's a little round hole,
Mhm.
and it's really on a cookery. It's the sign of a male or a female knife.
Yeah.
But on this knife, for instance, that's purely for
Well,
design purposes. But if you look here too,
Yeah.
everything behind this notch
Yeah.
is flat and not sharp.
Yeah.
That is to protect your fingers.
Okay.
So I only sharpen from the inside of that notch.
Now you said there's a male and a female knife. What did you mean by that with the notch?
Well, with a cookery,
Yeah.
which is from Tibet and Nepal, they are working knives.
Yeah.
And the male knife is a bit bigger,
Okay.
and the female knife a bit more slender.
Yeah.
And then they have a hole there that indicates whether it's a male knife or a female knife.
How do you know the difference?
The one has a dingle dangle and the other one doesn't.
A
Okay.
piepie.
Okay, that no more makes sense. So perfect.
Daai
yeah.
dingetjie wat jy.
All right. So, dude, dis die stryd een en die cherries in het hol en dit nou weet ek dit. Ek sal dit nooit weer vergeet nie. Ja.
Ja, jy het 40 jaar gehad.
Ja,
41
shit,
jaar.
ja.
Okay, this is a hunting knife. Now you can see this knife has been differentially quenched.
Yeah.
There's a Hammond line,
Yeah.
which appears when you quench this knife and you put it into the oil up to that level,
Yeah.
and then you take it out and you put it in the rest of the way. So that part below that Hammond line
Yeah.
is harder than the spine, which makes this knife nice and flexible.
And when you spoke about the hunting knives, maybe the guys can get the profile here about how the tapering actually works there and how thick it actually goes. So with that, you can actually beat it into a piece of bone.
Yeah, you see this part of the spine is a lot thicker than the front there.
Yeah.
And this at the back of the tang
Yeah.
is a bit thinner than the middle as well.
Yeah.
So the knife tapers this way and tapers that way, and it takes a lot of weight off the knife.
Okay.
Okay, the blade here, you see that blade there is also a bit stomp,
Yeah.
and that is to make sure that you don't cut yourself when you move your hand.
Yeah.
And you get knives that have a guard as well.
Okay.
This knife here, for instance, is a Damascus blade, but this has a
Finger guard.
finger guard.
Yeah.
Now
And
that
when they say Damascus, I'm sure you guys can see that there's a lot of different colors on there with the steel, the way it like changes. It looks like there's a whole bunch of shapes and stuff on it. Here's a better example of it. There you can see. Now that you do with layering. That's different steels that they put layer upon layer upon layer.
this knife in particular,
Yeah.
this one here, starts off with 5 pieces of metal, a high carbon, high nickel content,
Yeah.
and some foil.
Yeah.
And what you then do is you forge it, you forge weld it by hammering.
Yeah.
You fold it, you hammer it again, you fold it. This here has got over 140 layers
Whoa.
of steel, which makes it a very strong knife.
Yeah.
But also it has got a integral handle,
Yeah.
which means this whole blade is made from one piece of steel. There's no wood, there's no joints, there's nothing. There's just the
Yeah, that to me is knife porn. That's what
Yeah.
that is. That is just
So
beautiful.
ja, hierdie is rock.
Daai is vir my stunning.
Dis jy not gonna break at all. Wow, en dit is ja, soos jy sê. En kyk, check hoe mooi lyk dit daar met
Met die oom se logo.
badge. Daarso Cloete. En dit lyk wag.
Jy's te naby. Haai sy. Ek kan ons nou die manne sien.
Dis 'n Cloete bly.
Right.
Dis is
En die- hoorie-
dit is pond. Dit lyk
Dit is stunning, man. Veral as jy weet wat daarin gaan. En yes.
Now, if you look at this this knife here, is a little paring knife. I showed you the one that was ready for polishing. Now it's got its handle on, etc. That's what it'll look like when it's finished.
That is beautiful one.
The-
Obviously, what wood is this one?
That is red ivory.
Yeah.
This is G10. This one here, which is the same knife, is with a little kudu pin.
Yeah.
This is wild olive.
It's stunning. I love that color.
Sure.
Very nice.
The grain is just beautiful. Yeah.
This knife here is blackwood, which is a very nice, hard, oily wood,
Yeah.
but very, very tough. And this is bush willow.
Yeah.
I don't think you can see it, but it has a very nice patterning in
It's
it.
a nice dark, deep grain. Yeah. Ons gaan 'n torch hier opgooi, bra. Jy gaan nou lig wees.
You can see
Now
it-
you can see the beautiful
there's
colors
very
in that
nice
wood.
colors in there.
That's stunning, man.
And
It's
a whole-
almost mother of pearlish.
Is it?
Yeah.
now samples
Dark.
of wood that you can use here.
Yeah.
This is tambuti.
Tambotie hout. Suid-Afrikaanse tambotie hout.
Yeah, very, very tricky to work with because the dust
Yeah.
is quite toxic.
They never told us that at school. You know how much stuff we made with tambotie hout.
Dis hoekom jy so dom is vandag.
This is what pink ivory looks like,
Stunning.
or red ivory before
Yeah.
it ends up like
that.
that.
So it's not stained wood. It's literally
Yeah.
the wood's color. Yeah.
All that wood has got is a layer of linseed oil
Yeah.
or Danish oil,
Yeah.
and this here is a piece of kiat.
Kiaat.
Yeah.
En kiaathout is net so mooi. Kyk sy grinding ou. Kyk hoe beautiful is dit.
Now
And-
here I've taken the kiat
Ja.
and have made a hexagonal handle.
Ja.
This is for a Japanese style kitchen knife.
Ja. So your sushi knife.
Yeah. Now I do a lot of upcycling of steels. So I will take a spring from a car and manufacture a knife out of it. It is a high carbon steel,
Ja.
which is the only steel that you must use for forging. And you test it in a number of ways. You can do a spark test. You put it in the grind and see the pattern and the color of the sparks that come off the steel.
Yeah.
Or you can heat it up in the forge, quench it, and hit it with a hammer.
Yeah.
If it bends, you can't use it as a knife
Okay.
because that's like mild steel; it just doesn't harden.
Yeah.
If it snaps off, then it's high carbon steel.
Okay.
Now, you asked me a question about looking after your knife.
Yeah.
A lot of people, and a lot of people in the kitchen use a knife as a screwdriver.
Yeah.
They use it to pry things out of wherever.
And that.
And the point
Yeah.
is the thinnest part of your knife and the most brittle part of your knife.
Yeah.
So don't ever use your knife for prying. Use a screwdriver or something like that. Keep your knife sharp.
Use the right tools for the right job.
Keep it nice and sharp, and we'll demonstrate on how to sharpen a knife effectively now.
Yeah.
But a blunt knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife
Why? I've heard that a lot. Why do they say that?
because you don't cut in your first pass,
Yeah.
so you force it. When you force it, the knife will twist, it moves across, it cuts you,
Gat 'n vinger.
and yeah, a lot of people have hurt themselves
Dan
on
lyk
on
jy
blunt
so.
knife.
Yeah, now I know why chefs actually
Kyk
say
af en, kan jy sien
blunt
maar.
knife is more dangerous.
Kyk
Far
daar.
more dangerous.
Ja.
Yeah.
Kyk. En dit was nie Sarah nie.
Nee.
Nee, dit was 'n ander ene.
Sarah is
Sarah se Salim. Ja.
All right, would you like me to show?
Yes, please.
That will be awesome.
Um,
Oue. Dude, as jy net daar staan, dan kan ons almal daar inpas, ek beloof. Dan kan ons actually mooi sien. Ek sal nader staan hierso met die
Onthou dis hy's wide angle.
ja.
Kamera.
Alright.
all right.
So,
Here we have
Okay, boys.
nou sê pretty goed. I'm learning a lot here. Thanks from Piet.
Ek ook.
Here we have a grinder. This belt is a 180 grit.
Ja.
So it's going to make a bit of a noise.
Ja, so.
But what you want to do before we is you need to hold your knife lightly against it,
Ja.
pull it across until you see the burr forming on the edge.
Okay.
And you'll do that on this side, and you'll do it on that side, and thereafter you'll go to the stone.
Ja.
So let's just have a quick look here.
Now I noticed that with the sparks, those are beautiful yellow sparks. And growing up, I grew up around a lot of tungsten, which I saw was like it's a white spark that it gives off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is as I say, high carbon steel.
Yeah.
Now, one of the tests is you rub it against your nail. If it sticks,
Yeah.
then it's sharp enough. Now the burr has formed on here.
Okay.
So I'm just going to use the
So
stone.
explain to us what the burr is.
The burr is once you've put it onto the belt.
Yeah.
Your piece of the very edge of the blade.
Yeah.
Will form a little burr that curls like this.
Okay.
And if you do that side, it'll curl back that way. Now this is used to take that burr off as well as the strop.
Okay.
So I'm holding this at about 20 degrees
Yeah.
and I'm just passing it over the stone.
En nou sit 'n kakskerp mes met dit.
Nou kan ek haar afsny.
Nou kan jy skeer met daai ding.
Right, once I've done that,
And there's different grain stones as well.
the other side of the stones are rougher. Then I will take the rest of the burr off of this.
Yeah.
Okay, that knife is now.
Okay, now the leather takes the microscopic pieces
Yes,
off. It makes it.
takes the burr off.
Yeah.
as well. Now you can see this thing is really stuck. Let me just get my piece of paper again.
Yeah. Dude, nou weet jy. So to all the rabbis out there, if you want real blades, this is the man to come speak to. Let's see how it cuts.
Ja,
Yes, papi. Nice skerp, broer.
Now that is sharp.
That is very sharp.
nog een.
Nog enetjie. Ja.
Nou, Piet, ek het I heard, I don't know if it's true,
Ek het hom baie meer
Ja.
sensitief gemaak.
Sorry. that, I don't know if it's true or not. If you cut paper like that, does that not mess up the knife's
Sharp.
sharpness? Or,
Yeah, look, it's a good test of whether the knife
Because-
is sharp enough.
yeah, because you're only doing it once or twice.
But you're not going to do that normally. You
Yeah.
use a pair of scissors.
Ja.
Okay, so it's just a test.
Yeah,
That's
once,
it.
Yeah, once again, a knife is a tool. It must be used for the
Purpose.
purpose that it's designed for. Yeah.
And tell me, okay, obviously this is sharpening. How do they determine what's the right sharpness for certain knives? Obviously, certain knives need to be, I won't say sharper or more blunt, but they've got different cutting edges, like the degrees of angle that are on blades
Yeah.
for different blades. Obviously, a kitchen knife's got a way sharper angle to sharpen easier. What's the different angles for different jobs that the guys use?
The more acute the angle, i.e. between 10 and 20, 25 degrees,
Yeah.
is for fine work and really sharp work.
Okay.
A scalpel that a doctor uses is 5 degrees, 6 degrees is very, very, very fine. And so you go wider to an axe.
Yeah.
An axe doesn't need to be more than, less than say 25 to 30 degrees,
Okay.
because you're using force to split.
Yeah.
But the sharper the knife, I mean, there is a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance between, like that cleaver I showed you.
Yeah.
That is also sharpened at 20 degrees.
Yeah.
But it's only the very edge of that knife is, because
Yeah.
its geometry is built for hard work.
Yeah.
So the wider your geometry, the more robust that edge is.
Yeah.
The finer the geometry, the more
The finer
the more brittle that blade will be.
Okay.
That's when you'll chip a blade or roll a blade,
Yeah.
and then you have to resharpen again. And what a lot of people don't do is they don't profile their blades correctly. So you can sharpen, 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 but if that blade has got a few chips in it,
Yeah.
as we discussed earlier on, then you need to turn the blade and push it directly against a file or something and file that.
Get
that-
it flat again and
Get
then
that
start
profile
over.
done correctly, and
Yeah.
then start over again with sharpening.
Well, that taught me a lot about
Yeah.
with the sharpening that we've earlier on. We did a whole bunch of sharpening. I bought a whole bag of knives
Yeah.
and stuff.
And
I was
axes
super
and
excited.
pangas
Ja,
en alles.
axes en pangas. Elke blade in ons huis. As ek die kombuis kon saambring sou ek nou. But I learned a lot about the sharpness of how to sharpen the right blade the right way.
Yes.
So that's definitely one thing that we learned. Obviously, these sharpening blocks, I've seen a lot of them, and a lot of guys sell them. It's different grains and stuff. Now, can you tell me more? where do you find these? Obviously, you've made a beautiful little box for yours.
Yeah, look, there's two stones here.
Yeah,
There's a rougher stone.
yeah.
I think these are called Arizona stones. I speak under correction. And that is obviously a lot rougher. So if you need to profile your blade
Yeah.
or put in a coarse blade geometry, you use this side, and this side is for the finer sharpening.
Okay.
A lot of hardware stores sell it. At the knife maker stores.
Yeah.
Now there's two pretty good stores that I use. One is KMTS, Knife Making Tools in Pretoria, and
Yeah.
Herbst. Herbst made the this grinder, which is behind Whitey here.
So it's all custom
That's
stuff.
custom stuff. He makes it, and he does a fantastic job.
Yeah.
But if any of you are wanting to start knife making, do yourselves a favor. Go onto KGSA website. That's the Knife Makers Guild of South Africa. They are very good teachers. Kevin Harvey, for instance, is a master bladesmith with the American Bladesmith Society, him and his wife. And he's been running a bladesmithing school in Belfast for a number of years now. Very good. There's Niels, I forget, Niels van den Berg, he's out in Honeydew Way.
Yeah.
He made that forge.
Yeah.
So that's what he specializes in.
And now it's cold. Now you can actually zoom in there and check it up close. That's where the magic is. That's where everything goes into a molecular level. It goes into the. That's where the blade's born.
Yeah, that's where the blade is born, and that is half of the fun. You know, the stock removal side of knife making is interesting in that you've got to be you've got to go through the process and follow the process carefully.
Yeah.
But bladesmithing is far more rewarding in that you're not using your grinder or an angle grinder to get the shape of the knife.
Yeah.
You're using a hammer and an anvil, and of course the forge.
And plus, I think it's the reward of having something done in such an ancient way that's been around for
Donkeys years.
and knowing that it comes out like that, that it's that beautiful when you're done.
Yeah, look, the knives I make can't match some of the guys out there like Bertie Rietveld, for instance, and Kevin Harvey, and these guys make art knives. Those knives are beautiful, and they are really, really something to look at. I like those are the Ferraris of knives, absolutely. And if you just look on many knife websites, you'll see their names. They're always up there in the prizes. They do very well. They are fantastic knife makers. But I like to make knives that you use.
Yeah.
And even some of the knives I have made, I've spoken to the people who bought them, who've said, no, that's in their safe. They won't take it out. And that almost makes me a little bit hot sore, because you want that to be a tool.
Yeah.
And people, you know, there's a saying in knife making that if you want to make a lot of money, don't make knives.
Yeah.
Because you spend a lot of hours, and you've got to be competitive. So your hours or your input doesn't really match your earnings, but it's so rewarding that we love doing it.
Now tell me, how do South Africans measure up compared to the world? Obviously, I know we've got some of the prime knife makers in the world. How do we measure up, and why have we got so many phenomenal knife makers?
I know worldwide there are fantastic knife makers. South Africa has got a whole bunch. Owen Wood, for instance, Chris Reeve. These are guys that have left South Africa and are now working in the States, but are fantastic knife makers. And as I said, Kevin Harvey and his wife, Heather, as well as Niels van den Berg, Bertie Rietveld, fantastic. I can't remember everybody, but there's a lot of people here, and we match up very well worldwide.
Yeah.
Very well.
Now, how do we get a hold of you? Our guys would like to, as I know our guys, they would want to have knives made.
Yeah.
How do they get a hold of you? Give me your number. And your
Phone
phone
number, we'll actually put that on the
Yeah.
screen, and then the
Yeah.
guys can phone you.
Okay.
Hopefully there's no loose woman that will bother you.
And remember, guys, this takes time, so don't order 20 and expect it in a week.
Yeah.
These
Yeah.
don't cut tight, my friend. So what's your number?
079
079
694
694
7904.
904. Email address?
Cloete Knives
Knives
at gmail.com.
@gmail.com. So, kom ons sê,
You type like
En daar zijn boys and girls.
Lekker.
Daar zijn Peter Cloete, Cloete, 079-694-7904, Cloete Knives at gmail.com. Is that all correct there?
That is correct, yeah.
Right.
So guys, yeah, the people
Yeah.
again, Chris.
Actually, you hold the mic there.
Yeah, ek is die mic stander. Well, Peter, we just want to say, there you go. That's how we say thank you.
Bye, donkey.
It was really a great show. Thank you so much, guys. We hope. Sorry we didn't get to your questions and so on, but this was a more of an informative show again, where we got to learn just a basic intro to it. Because I think if we had to go through, it's going to, yes, yeah. We saw the forge. We looked like forgers properly. Ons het daai staal gebliksem.
Hoorie, julle het amazing gelyk hoor.
So, well, Peter, just again, thank you so much for taking time out, joining the SA Bros family. Thank you so much. We're gonna quickly check out on our. Ek het dit gehoor. Ja, ja, dankie tog die forge was nie aan nie. So guys, we're going to say goodbye to him, Peter, but we're going to quickly jump on the comment section there and just talk to you guys for the last 10 minutes and just go over everything. Well, Peter, baie dankie.
Pleasure.
Have an awesome night.
Guys.
So, kom ons gaan aan. Ja, kom ons vat die ding. Hou jy vas?
Jammer boys.
Dankie Andrei. Dankie Cloete.
Dankie Cloete, legend. Dankie bro.
Right. Ons klim hier op.
Staan en skyt ek jou ma se ertjies op poepe hier so gooi ek. Dankie.
Kom ons kyk ons iets.
I don't want to say anything.
Yeah, you don't. Thank you. Dankie. Right.
Alright, kom
So here we go.
Kom ons kyk wat sê die mense.
Ek dink oom kan maar 'n stoel nader trek as ek oom hulle nie gaan uitskyt nie dan.
Maar miskien is daar vrae toe.
Yeah, exactly. Now we can actually check you guys and have a chat to you about what the hell is happening here. What have we done? And let's have a look.
Ja, asseblief, ek soek 'n mes. Sean, jy het oom Pieter se nommer. Praat met hom, bel hom, hy sal vir jou sê wat jy wil hê, if you want a hunting knife, kitchen knife, wat ek al dit is. Sean, ek ken jou, jy's 'n hooligan, so dit gaan 'n hunting knife wees met 'n fucking 'n tottie seker opgeëngryf.
Ja.
So dit jy's 'n weird kind. Kom kyk weer eens interview guys. Wow, julle, dit was vrek nice, extremely informative. Thank you, was awesome. Guys, lekker, Dewald.
Welkom Dewald Johannes Swart. Ja, ek staan nie in skei dude. Ek is gespoil. Ek het mushroom sop en ertjiesop en nog vis en kak gehad vir die tyd.
Ek kan nie wag om my dinge te sien, my expression toe ek dit hoor. Ek's nog besig om te praat hier skielik dit is reg fucking gebeur.
Ek kon dit nie meer inhou nie. Dit is fucking die ministers doen dit op TV. So fucking yeah.
Like my die mense dit geniet, Chris.
Yes, man.
Chasing a man out of his own forge. Chasing a man out of his own forge. Well done, Chris.
Dankie. It's not an easy feat, boys.
When Peter means business, guys, love his passion. Yeah, it's beautiful to you see now. It's so much fun to see somebody in their passion. Sit.
Ja,
and do what he wants instead of going into an office and sit down fucking keyboard jockey.
Weet jy wat weet die ouens nie wat vanaand se show gekyk het? Is dat oom Piet vir jare in Transvaal gejol het. Hy was 'n professionele rugby speler in die dae voor ouens nog regtig geld betaal was vir dit. Dis toe manne nog manne was, nie die snotneus laaitjies met houdings nie.
Peter het vir Transvaal rugby gespeel and he also went for the Springbok trials that went to Auckland, am I correct? 1982. Kyk daarso. Ons het maandag vir Raymond. That's it. We've got Raymond on the show Monday and now we had nog 'n amper Springbok, maar hy het nog steeds vir Transvaal gespeel, die
Leeu's Papi.
Ja. Daai dit was mos die Rooi Kavaliere.
No, we were
Dit was Transvaal.
Ja, maar Transvaal, het was Transvaal en toe Transvaal Rooi Kavaliere en toe die Leeu's en die Goue Leeu's en al dat.
Die Goue Leeu's, ja.
Yes. Yeah. Alright, so guys, as you see there, hy doen nie. Kom ons kyk, op Pieter ek is julle baie
maak die oom gewere ook, vra vir 'n vriend. Dewald die oom maak hom gewere nie, maar sy laaitie kan actually gaan kyk na Savage Arms, dis ons vriende. Die ouens maak hulle beautiful guns en hulle gaan vir jou al die inligting gee wat jy nodig het vir enige firearms dude.
Look at what he with his older son. Ja, jy het baie
cool.
Wel, jy het in 'n familie ingestap waar die behalwe vir jou. Sorry, is die kortste is Andrei, wat is jy? 6'4". Ja. 6'4" wat die kort enetjie in die familie is. So ons gaan 'n foto neem en wat ons op Facebook gaan post. Laat julle dit nou ordentlik sien. Jy gaan so in die middel van ons staan. Ek sal heel in die middel staan.
Ja.
Ek is net 'n rapsie langer as oom Cloete want hy krimp nou 'n bietjie, hy raak oud. My pa was 6'6", ek dink hy's so 6'5".
so kak met 'n ou wat 'n kak is vol lemme.
Mense het, ja, maar ons het weapons training nou, pel.
Ons het niks weapons nie. Hy
ons
sê
het niks
weapons is net uit cleavers uit.
Ja, en Andre sê
Ja, maar okay, hier is guns
Daar's
hier.
hy. Hier's oom se your cousin nephew, ek weet nie hoe hulle Engels dit sê. Hallo Uncle Peter.
Hallo, Uncle Peter.
Hiya, Mike. Hey, my boy.
Daar's hy.
I like it. And by the way, we've got to say thank you to what's ons t-shirt man? Wat altyd vir ons shirts maak. Van Start Paul.
Paul van Start,
Polly,
wow.
Polly. You know what, dude? I know you guys have been, you especially, you've been making the shirts and stuff. And you've also been, you gave us a couple of vouchers. And the one lad that we had on here just now, Mike McLeod, is going through a bit of a tough one. And your money managed to help this man out. Today we gave him the whole voucher for all the money. And Paul, we got to say thank you, dude.
Thank you so
Indirectly, you help the bros help somebody, and that's what we're about, man.
much. Lees die kommentaar.
Yeah. Share the mic, Chris. It's a mic, dude. Ek is baie jealous already shit.
So guys, ja, ek wil graag okay, dankie oom, chasing a man out of his and blah blah blah. Okay guys, well, look, you've got let's just take the comment off so
Yeah.
we get Peter's stuff. Right guys, as you can see, he's shared the mic, Chris.
Just take it.
His contact details are on there, his email is there, guys. Chat to him, support local, don't buy Chinese knives, hulle breek klaar. These knives are beautiful.
Stunning.
They are absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous knives. Guys, look, let's gaan we vir ons mense maak. Will you be able to put SA Bros as a logo? Yeah. One side Cloete, other side SA Bros.
I think that's
We
great.
can put anything on that knife.
Yeah.
So boys, get your knives, put your logos out there. I think that's all we have to say.
No, that's not all.
Wat toch?
And to all the ladies that love stunning older men, his number is on there and his Gmail's on there. So you guys can give the man a call and please don't raise his blood pressure and stuff. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, but van SA Bros have just show a little love on love julle and you know what guys, look after yourselves. I know tonight's going to be a short one, but we love you.
2-3 minutes.
Yeah, by 2 or 3 minutes.
Tomorrow night, it's Bro Friday,
Yes.
guys. We're going to go mal. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow, Lizzie, so ons gaan hooligan gaan. So
Hooligan.
we're going to do a proper party. There's no reason for us to go to bed at 11 or so. Let's push it tomorrow night.
Okay, ja, kom.
Saterdag kan ons lê in frak.
Ja, word dronk saam met die seuns. Dan ons sien julle daar.
Right, guys. Ons kyk laaste kommentaar hierso van mense. Thanks guys. Was truly amazing.
Amazing, baba.
So guys, like Chris always says, love yourself, look after yourself, and what's the last thing?
Look after each other, love each other, and man, yeah, be safe. Bye.
Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Pete.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.
Well, goodbye, everybody. From SA Bros.